Skindred, welcome to the Backline. How are you doing today?
Great, thank you. Yeah, awesome, thanks.
So you just arrived to do press and interviews for your new album that's coming out, and film, a documentary, is that correct?
That is correct, yeah. This is the first day of the campaign, really. You know, this is where it all starts.
And how is it going?
Do you know what? I think it's going great. I think it's going really well. I mean, there seems to be a good reception so far with, like you say, the film and the album, so people seem to be excited as we are. So.
There's a lot of buzz going on about it, isn't there?
So tell me about the film. I mean, it's a documentary of the band.
Yes.
Over the 17 years that's been going.
We decided to do it maybe about 10 years ago.
Yeah, we've been recording footage various ways over the last sort of 10 to 15 years, and it's kind of putting all of that together and with a sort of narrative that ties everything together.
It's funny when we first started doing the filming stuff, because you know everyone gets a camcorder. This is before phones, and you get a camcorder, and you'll be filming us, you know, in America somewhere, and you know, go on, you know, miking and be like, right, this is for the film, you know,
do something incredible.
Do something for the film. It's like we always said we were going to do a film, but there was no, you know, we never knew what that film was going to be. So
it was hard to sort of capture stuff when one of us was always responsible for filming it, and then as time goes on, we'll have people who've sort of come around us to film specifically, so you end up being a lot more natural, and things just tend to happen that way. So, but there's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of footage that we've had to sift through.
We didn't know what the film was going to be. I mean, and then once, obviously, we decided this in the beginning of the year, right, we should actually put this together. Yeah. And the obvious thing to do was to have it as pretty much the history of Skindred, you know, from start, with concentrating on Benji, where he's from. I mean, that was a bit of an untold story, if you ask me. Sort of fans would see him up on stage doing his thing, or maybe in, you know, certain press, but I don't think they knew where he was from. And could, you know, he didn't have a chance to really tell his story, and so it does all that from our beginnings, and just you
could expand on all of it as well, like every sort of chapter, if you like. We could have made a film about each part, like each album, each person, each everything. So it was really difficult to cram so much stuff into about an hour.
I think it's good for the for the fans of the band to be able to have something like that. You know?
Also good for you. I mean, it must be very strange looking at yourself and how you've got to where you are.
It's weird. I mean, you do get desensitized to it when you're doing the editing style of the things. You know what I mean? The first few times you see yourself, you go, oh, wow, that's great, and you sort of reminisce, and then you go, right, we need to make this here, and you become a bit more clinical with how things should work. But I mean, you know, watching the journey back again, you know, not being part of it. And, you know.
It's really enjoyable watching it back, you know, just to see the history, and you think, you know, reminding yourself of stuff that happened, and things you said and did, and the way you felt about stuff, and
the way you looked.
Watching, how you look.
Oh my God, why did I have a mullet?
Yeah, that sort of thing. Questionable fashion choices, and you know, just watching things unfold and watching the growth of the band is sort of.
Well, it's really our lives as well. It wasn't just a business thing. It's a personal thing, isn't it? You see, because we're together 24/7.
Lives,
We want a fuck the nation. That's not the answer. They come in the true with shots in the dark, and the shots that I give you, I go rip out your heart. Who's gonna help them? Oh, take care of all of them. Who's gonna help them? Oh, take care of all of them.
Your new album is coming out, and it's called Volume.
Correct.
Tell me about the album. Where did you record? How does it sound?
We did. We recorded in Strong Room Studios, which is in East London. We really wanted to sort of do it in a central location this time. The last album we made, we were quite remote, and we wanted to flip it on its head this time and kind of be central and be plugged into, you know, a buzzing environment, which when we all got to sort of go home at the end of the night, or go somewhere at the end of the night, rather than be residential, which was a nice change.
Like you said, I think you said it well. It turned it on its head from the last record. I mean, we had lots more time on the last record, and I think with this time it was purposefully trying to condense it to 3.5 weeks in the studio, bam, 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 and have some sort of urgency to it. You know what I mean? So it's like there wasn't enough time to really go into, you know, and obsess about small, stupid little things that really don't make a difference at the end of the day. So we'd go in with these songs that we were all happy with, and we just would, you know.
So the new album is coming out in when? October 30th. Okay, so just before Halloween. Going to have a Halloween party celebration always. What are you going to dress up as?
I figured it out the other day, but I'm not going to say. I know.
Have you really?
Yeah. I'll tell you in a minute.
I have a real problem with the dressing up side of things on how, because I play drums, and every time I do something a bit more, you know, than like, I don't know, wearing a stupid costume or something, like wear a mask or something weird, it goes wrong and it's weird, and
You're more prone to technical or
yeah, like
wardrobe
my,
issues
my
you,
in-ears don't quite, happen because they're in cages. It's all a bit strange. So I'll be honest, I dread the dressing up bit.
yeah.
Just as yourself.
Yeah, that's scary, right?
It is difficult. I'd love to do like Star Wars or something and do Stormtroopers, but the logistics of playing with all that stuff on is difficult. I find the best costumes at Halloween involve some kind of makeup. I never knew, but I'm a closeted makeup wearer.
It sounds actually guitar blaster,
How do you mean?
for the gun guitar.
yeah.
Guitar blaster.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. That could
Instead
be.
of ghetto blaster, guitar.
It's more like seeing it through the mask and having this big plastic armor, but
I could do a Yoda mask.
Yeah.
So you're going on tour with the new album.
Yes.
Are there any new places that you're going to be playing that you haven't played before?
I'm sure there will be next year, but until the end, this tour starts in Cardiff and ends in Berlin. So I think we're out for like 6 or 7 weeks, and it's Europe, mainland Europe, UK, and I think we're going to places we have been.
For the most part, I think.
But then I think next year is when we'll probably spread our wings out, and try some different places. You have your touring,
Your normal places.
Yeah, because I think because we've signed a new deal, and so the album's out globally, which will be the first time in the band's history that we have a worldwide release date. So we have to go to the territories where.
Yeah, of course they're released.
Yeah, and I think
they have affiliations.
Yeah, exactly, and I think after that is when you can sort of experiment. I want to go back to South America. We haven't been there.
How does a song begin in Skindred? Where does it start? How does it develop?
It depends really. I mean, some things come from a lyric that Benji sort of comes up with and something come around it. A lot of the time, Dan, the bass player, or myself will bring a riff to the table that one of us has either written at home. I tend to hum a lot of stuff into my phone, and then I sort of will sit down with the guitar and work it out, and then bring it to the table, and then it will become a song with the band. Aria does his thing, Dan Sturgis does his thing. They're all just sort of atoms flying around until all of us get together in a room. No one is really responsible for writing a song. It comes from little pieces that we all put together.
What about your influences? Obviously, because you have a particular sound. I mean, some people call it raga rock or this or heavy rock, or they're always trying to pigeonhole you. After 17 years or so doing music, has the sound changed much?
It still has the same spirit as day one. Because we involve the electronic side of things, you have to obviously keep abreast of what's going on. You don't want to, sounds change like that. So you want to be on top of what's going on. But the essence of the band is a rock band, and that doesn't change. It's a rock band with these different elements. Then we use reggae music that hasn't really changed. Rock music, punk music. It's that.
It's just like a gel of everything.
Yeah, that's the basis of the sound, and then you've got the cherry and the cream and all that sort of stuff that you can do on top.
And what about, for example, on your iPod or your music player? I mean, do you generally listen to lots of different kinds of music, or what was the last song you listened to?
Yeah, I could probably have a quick look.
Let's have a quick look.
Let's hope it's not too embarrassing.
No,
I have a feeling mine is embarrassing because I Shazammed it yesterday. It's that one of the Jonas Brothers.
I hate that. I hate when you Shazam something and it's like, oh god.
But no, it was such a badass song. Levels by someone Jonas.
Okay.
One of the, and it's really good actually.
I was listening to Ian Brown this morning.
That was the last thing.
Which one?
Solarized.
Yes.
About 10 years old.
So you seem cooler than me now.
Yeah.
You worked in the studio with a producer who worked with, obviously, Depeche Mode.
James, yeah.
James. So, I mean, Depeche Mode is a band that really influenced me, and I love as a kid and still do love them. How was it working with James in the studio?
I mean, this is the third album we've done with him now, and the reason we hooked up with him was because his roster of bands is,
It's wide,
his
isn't
little
it?
black book of
Yeah.
bands that he's worked with was so wide. It was, I think at the time it was the Manic Street Preachers, Def Leppard, Depeche Mode, and then you had, what's that?
Well, he's done a lot of
What was that pop stuff? It was like some stuff like the Honeys and all that other weird
Sugar Babes or something.
Sugar Babes.
Yeah, well, yeah.
What was that
kind
one?
of-
There was that 21 Seconds. What are they called?
So Solid Crew. Is
So Solid Crew. That was it.
that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's done all kinds of stuff. all kinds of stuff, you know. But in his heart, he's into heavy music.
He's
and
like us.
rock music. But he's not just a metaler, you know what I mean? He's not just into that one kind of thing where some people are.
Lots of different records, lots of different sounds, lots of different ways of doing things. He had a pop sensibility, but liked, a rock vibe.
Which is what you are,
Yeah.
essentially, in a way.
And I think, to be honest, the last one we did with him, in my opinion, was the best one so far in terms of working with him and having a succinct idea and like an idea that we wanted to push out there. I think the first two records, well, the first one especially was like dipping your toe in the water and just seeing what happened. And the second one, I think we got cocky with him.
We were trying something, weren't we?
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of sort of, with us, there's kind of so many things we could do because we've got a lot of inspiration from different kinds of music. Benji's really, really talented, singer. And we could do a sort of a ballad. We could do a sort of more straight up reggae number. We could do something that's kind of a bit more punky, but it's focusing it all and trying to make stuff that sounds really
doesn't mean you should.
Cohesive. Yeah, it doesn't mean we should necessarily.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
And I think that's what, with this last album, we've really nailed that as close as we can. Is just keeping things focused and not sort of deviating from a path of just riffy, really like
just
heavy
had to
songs.
rock, and he was into that for this particular record. Like we say on the last one, it was that whole space. You wanted the acoustic number, but then you also wanted the full-on dubstep track, or then a savage metal song. So we were trying to cover all of those bases. And to his credit, he would never diss an idea or something. He would want to see it through and then go, well, let's make the decision after it's done.
I think we've gone from having James there and feeling maybe we were becoming over familiar with James as a producer, but I personally have come full circle to going, I'd happily make another record with James, but I think the last one everyone's really happy with, and we've kind of perfected that workflow a bit more, whereas I'd happily go and do that again.
So the next year's, what are the plans for next year? Tour, new album record, take a break?
No, we'll definitely
Well,
be
this
busy.
one hasn't come out yet, so I want to try and push this one as far as it will go. I think I was with our label a few weeks back in Germany, and they were like, it's all about the next record, and I went, give me a minute, like, let's do this one first, and then let's get this one out there and push it out there and tour. And I think we just want to play as many places as we can to as many people as we can. I think it's the same as any band.
Thank you so much for talking to us at the Backline, and we wish you the best for the new documentary film, for the new album, for the touring, and hopefully when you're back we'll have a chat. And good luck with everything, okay? Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.